all the way from BioWare, one of the writers of Tor. He is a senior writer for Tor.
Senior.
At least was. We'll find out now what more he is. Please welcome to the podcast, Hal Hood. Hello there, and welcome to Bombad Radio.
Hi there.
So we just ran an introduction for you, so why don't you introduce to our audience who you are and what your job title is, since I believe you told us that you're no longer senior writer for Tor.
That is correct. My name is Hal Hood, and I am a lead writer for BioWare Austin, and I am the lead writer on Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh, wow. So you took over for, was it Drew Karpatian who was lead writer before?
Drew was not lead writer. Daniel Erickson was our lead writer throughout the development. Drew came in and lent his very capable hands to the project and helped us finish it up. And then Daniel transitioned over to being lead designer, and Alex Freed, who wrote The Imperial Agent, picked things up from there, and I've now inherited the mantle from him.
Oh, I see. And we know in the past couple of days there's been an awful lot of Tor news, with it going free-to-play in November, with the paid option, of course, still being there. So now that you're head writer for Tor, I'm assuming you being head writer means there's still an awful lot of plans and stuff coming down the pipe for Tor. Am I correct with that?
Oh, yes, very much so. In fact, we've already written quite a lot of future content that you'll be seeing, including some interesting things on the planet Makeb, where the Hutts have decided to make their own bid for galactic dominance.
And will this be available for all the players that decide to play for free in November as well, or just the paid ones? Or is it?
I don't know any details on how that's being handled.
Okay, so we get more Hutt stuff. Anything about Endgame by chance? Any more Endgame information? Post-game, I should say.
We're always developing new content for the Endgame. Our Endgame players are very important to us. And as a matter of fact, I just had a meeting with my fellow writers on Friday, brainstorming some new content for the Endgame.
Oh, that's excellent.
Wicked. Somebody had to say it.
It's a pretty cool idea, actually. I hope we could pull it off.
Hey man, anything that's epically cool that has to do with like Star Wars and Tor, I'm all for that. More cool is good.
Right.
Well, one thing we can definitely say when it comes to at least BioWare games, or games that what we're BioWare is, as long as you guys take the time to get it right, it turns out well. It's when it's rushed that it comes out.
We do work very hard, and we're always striving for the highest possible quality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't exactly speak for Jeremiah, but me personally, I mean, I've always enjoyed BioWare games.
I can definitely say I enjoy them all.
See, there you go.
So we have a couple of questions for you. You've been a writer for Tor. What other games have you been a writer for?
The only other game that I wrote for was Ultima Online 2, way back in 1999, and which did not go anywhere, as you may be aware. So
yes, I was like, wow, we're reaching into the Wayback Machine on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, isn't Ultima coming back via BioWare really soon?
Yes, it is. I don't think they're going to be using any of the content that I worked on for Ultima Online 2, though.
Yeah, so shake the magic 8 balls. Sources pointed to go.
Exactly.
Okay, so when did you start writing for Tor then? Like, when did that process start? Because we had Sean Williams on the podcast several months ago, and he wrote, of course, one of the original books for the Old Republic, and he said by the time he got in there, in, I want to say, 2008 or 2007 or something like that, there was already thousands and thousands of pages that he was allowed to read that he couldn't ever talk about. Yes,
I mean, what I can tell you is that I was the second writer hired onto the Old Republic by Daniel Erickson, and I got in very early in the game, and when we were still just barely developing what planets players would be visiting, what classes were going to be in the game, who the factions would be, things like that. So I've kind of been around for quite a while now. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you will see it's over 6 years. So.
Yeah, dude came in on the ground floor, Jared.
So yeah, I've been around for a while.
So what sort of prep did you have to do beforehand? Like, did they make you sit in a room and play KOTOR 1 and 2? Did they make you watch all the movies, read lots of books, visit Lucasfilm? What type of prep did you have to do before you started writing for Tor?
I had already done all that prep. So by the time I showed up to work on the Old Republic, it was, I've been a huge Star Wars fan my whole life. I'm old enough to have seen the original Star Wars movie in theaters in the summer of 1977 and was completely blown away by it. I've played both Knights of the Old Republic, the original 2 games, religiously. Delved through all of the content there. I love Star Wars comics. I've read Star Wars novels. It's a huge thing for me, and it continues to be.
So the truth comes out. All hood.
Giant Star Wars
nerd. Star Wars nerd. Love it. Dude, we're all for that. Come on, think about it, man. We're role players. We make our own Star Wars content.
Right.
Like how nerdy are we? I don't think you can be more nerdy unless you're one of us. So it's no big deal. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I have an extensive collection of the old West End games, Star Wars pen and paper rule books from that were published back in the '90s. So yeah, that was a huge deal.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
Yeah, fantastic.
So when they approached you to write on tour, what was your initial reaction? Was it the fanboy scream, or was it shock, or was it yes?
It was kind of a restrained woohoo. So that
woohoo! You had a home moment.
Yeah, I was very excited to join the project, and yeah, I mean, obviously getting to write Star Wars stories, that's a dream come true. When you're a kid in the theater watching the Star Wars movies, then you go home and you play with all your action figures and your toys and all that, and you're still making up Star Wars stories back then, but nobody's paying you to do it, and nobody's going to see those stories. So yeah, but this was pretty impressive.
That's sweet.
So I have to ask, since with all the tour news out, there's also some KOTOR news out recently as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you read about how fans finally finished KOTOR 2, where they finally got all the content which was cut out due to lack of time by Obsidian. They were able to add in all the last planet that was cut out and all the end game, the last act content. Have you been able to see that mod at all, or do you have any plans to play it?
Oh yes, I do. I do plan to play it. I have not had a chance yet. I need to get a PC copy, because my copy of KOTOR 2 is for the Xbox. So because that's where I was playing those games originally. So yeah, I'm going to get a copy of the PC and download that fan patch, because I really want to see that content. I'm very excited about it. The people who worked on that are fantastic.
Oh yeah, personally, I've been following that for like years. I was always wondering when they were going to finish it.
Right, it took a little while. Yeah, I was following it too. When I first heard that it was announced, I thought, that is awesome. I really hope they finish this project. And for a long time, it seemed like maybe they wouldn't, but they did it, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, really. That's so cool, because it's like, I don't think anybody paid them to do that. That was just like, we want to see it.
It's just pure passion, and you gotta love that.
Oh yeah, you have to respect it. You have to.
Yep.
So I know the first Star Wars MMO Galaxies had a lot of fan-created content, a lot of fan-created, whole worlds and cities were created by fans. Do you know if there's ever going to have any user-created content for Tour, or for now?
I really have no idea. I mean, we're pretty excited about the content that we're creating and putting out there for the fans, and we have big plans for the future. And, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think that fan-created content is always great. I love cosplayers, and I love fan fiction and things like that. It's amazing to me. You've arrived as a creator when people are creating fanfic based on your work. So
yes.
it's like
more fiction to my fiction.
Right. You get into this endless regression of fiction. It's like it's really fantastic.
It's like a Mobius loop of writing.
Right. That's a very well put. Yes.
Well, thank you. That's the only thing I can think of. That's what it is. It's like a Mobius loop of writing. It has to be.
Yep, exactly.
Never ending. Keeps going on and on and on and on.
So, out of everything you've written for Tor, I know before you were responsible for specific parts, what was probably or what you think is your favorite or best contribution to Tor or the Star Wars galaxy?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I've written a lot of things. I think my favorite character who I got to write was Rusha, the one of the Smuggler major NPCs. She was just, she was exactly what I wanted to have in a Smuggler plot. She was exactly that sort of character, and I got incredibly lucky that we hired Tara Strong to provide the voice of Rusha in the game, because she just was incredible and brought so much more to the character than I could hoped for.
Sorry, I can't help it, man. You're talking to a brony, dude. I mean, look at the avatar. You had to bring that up.
So when you write these characters, did you ever envision, like, I want this specific voice actor to do this, or were you just like, please get someone good?
I think pretty much it's always please get someone good. I don't usually think in terms of specific voice talent for it. Very often when we're creating these characters and we're generating the performance notes for the actors to use as their guidelines when they perform the lines, we'll talk about specific actors or specific roles in movies or TV shows or things like that, just to give the actor a particular something that they can grasp onto. Basically, it's like a launching pad, effectively. So yeah, but beyond that, I mean, and of course, I came into this not necessarily knowing a lot of the great voice actors that were out there. Like I recognized some voices because I was also a huge Batman the Animated Series nerd, and
yes.
I used to obsess over the credits at the end of every episode to see what celebrity people were providing the voices. So there are certain voices that got that stuck in my head, and I remember Tara Strong. And so yeah, the minute that I saw that she was voicing Rish, I was like, yes.
Yeah, that I would have been like, oh my god, oh, this is so awesome, oh, this is so awesome.
There are a lot of happy dances in my job. That's what I can tell.
You know what? We can, and that also confirms another thing. We can consider this man to be a friendly man. Why? Because he admits to having the happy dance.
I try to have at least one a day. So.
Yes.
That's a good policy. It means you're a happy person, and we don't like sad people all the time.
Yeah, so that's like, I gotta write this one guy, what am I gonna say? You know what? This really pissed me off. And then you just kind of get into it. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually, that's very therapeutic.
It is, in fact. Writing is therapy.
And it involves monetary gain. You can't argue.
It's really just a big win-win.
And that, we like win-wins.
So you're now head writer for Tor. When did you officially become head writer for Tor?
It's been very recently. It's official. I took over the position officially just within the last couple of weeks, and you guys are actually getting the first announcement of that publicly. Right. I haven't spoken about that anywhere, not even on Twitter yet. So so that's when I took it over. But I've been very involved in the content of this game, obviously, for a long time, and I've written a whole lot of content. I as I said, I worked on the Smuggler through the end of the first chapter, and got to write all of Rish's companion dialogue, which was just huge amounts of fun. I got to work on the Jedi Knight, which was also fantastic. I was kind of the main author of that. I did have great collaborators on that. I worked with Rob Chesney, who did the comic series Thread of Peace. And of course, I also got to work a little bit with Drew Karpyshyn on the Jedi Knight. He came in and lent a hand with dialogue writing on Voss and Bel Sabbas. So it was really fun to work with all of them. So on top of that, I got to write the Terrell 5, the Maelstrom Prison Flashpoints, which was a lot of fun getting to continue a certain story. I will avoid spoilers for people who have not yet played through that. I got to write, a little bit of quests here and there for the Republic and the Empire. I worked on a lot of the flashpoints like Hammer Station and things like that. I even got to do a little bit of dialogue polish on the Bounty Hunter, which was a little fun. So I sort of, for a little while there, I was kind of the go-to guy for the Underworld faction. So
hey, kick ass.
Well, just so you know, this will be on Twitter tomorrow, so we'll announce it for you tomorrow if you don't mind.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yes. We don't mind taking over the bulk of that work, believe you. Be glad to do it. Yes, that's
so,
right. That's right, Planet Earth. You heard it on Bad Radio first.
So how many writers are there for Tor? Because
there's be a fair few.
Yeah.
We've had a tremendous number of writers working on this game over the years. I've actually, I can't even tell you an exact number anymore. I mean, I suppose if I sat down and really thought about it for a while, I could probably get pretty close. But it's double digits over the development time of this project, because obviously we had a bunch of people working in house, but we also had people up in BioWare Edmonton who lent a hand. My collaborator on the Smuggler, who took it over from me when I went off to work on the Jedi Knight, is Jennifer Hepler, who's worked on Dragon Age. And yeah, she did a terrific job with the Smuggler.
Yeah, we like Dragon Age too.
Yeah, Dragon Age is
awesome.
Fantastic. Really just did such a great job. So it was amazing to work with her. And actually, I think Mary Kirby was also, she's from the Dragon Age team. She also contributed things to our game. So, and as a matter of fact, I know she did.
Well, then there you go.
There you go. There's no hemming and hawing about this.
No hemming, no hawing, yada, 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 bullet point, end of discussion.
So I know that Tor is, known as the most scripted game ever, as in it's the longest script because there's more dialogue than everyone has dialogue, scripted dialogue, and so on.
Yeah.
And now Sean Williams told us that years ago he was saying he guessed around 3,000 pages. So how many pages do you guys think you wrote?
Oh my gosh.
Any idea?
I can't even tell you. I think that there is a calculation of it somewhere, and I think at one point, what I can tell you are like the big numbers. What I try to do is I break it down in terms of how many Empire Strikes Back could you have filled with the dialogue.
Nice. I like this frame of measurement.
That's my unit of measurement. So
that's a good unit.
That just me, in terms of the content that I've written for the game, I think the last time I calculated it, I was over 35 Empire Strikes Back's worth of dialogue. Yeah, that's just
wow.
me. I mean, we had so many other writers work on it. I'm trying to remember. I think. Oh, I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but at one point I did figure it out, and it was a ludicrous number. It was like 60 Star Wars sagas or something like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like all 6 movies worth of dialogue. We made about 60 Star Wars sagas worth of dialogue.
Yo, man, the people,
wow.
the companies that make those like hand wrist braces, like for carpal tunnel, must love you guys. Dear God.
It was a lot of content.
That's an insane amount of anything.
So as the head writer now, I assume you're the one who has to work with, I want to say his name is Lee Chan, the guy who's in charge of the holocrowd for Lucasfilm and continuity and stuff. Do you have to work with him to make sure?
Leland Chi, yeah.
Leland Chi,
yes.
Yeah.
That's the guy's name.
I do not, I haven't had occasion to work with him directly recently, but he does review pretty much all of the content that we generate from the game, and he'll send feedback on, oh, actually, this wasn't introduced until such and such time, or let's not make any reference to, this particular character because they're being used for something really exciting that we can't talk about, and things like that. So, at some point, I hope to cross paths with him, because I would just love to geek out about Star Wars with him for a little while.
Yeah, because that's kind of like the go-to guy when you think about it. Like, if you want to know something, talk to that guy.
Right, exactly.
Which
yeah,
is
as a matter of fact, somebody asked me something on Twitter about the political system of the Syrians. Here's the Syrians? I can't remember. Their home world. And I was just like, I have no idea. It's not in our game. I don't know. So I literally just referred that person directly to Leland Chi.
Yeah, you're just like F. You're like, excuse me, a baking powder? What?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm not from your country.
So I know you guys were writing Tor for a long time. I know you guys were writing it as basically the successor to Galaxies, because Galaxies had survived a long time and had its issues and strengths and so on. So when did you finally realize that Tor was going to be huge? Because not all Star Wars games are huge, and I know, like most of us, we didn't really notice Tor until that first trailer came out, the Deceived one.
Right.
Well, all of us started drooling over everything.
Over all the possibilities, yes. Well, I mean, honestly, those of us who worked on the project, we knew pretty early on how big this game was going to be because we saw the plan. We knew how much content was going to be generated. We knew how big the story was. We knew how epic everything was going to be. And yeah, we had to sit on that knowledge for a really long time and not talk about it, because for the longest time it was just an unannounced top secret project, and yes, people were speculating. A lot of people guessed very early what it was that we were working on, but having to be very quiet and not talk about it, that was crazy. Sometimes I felt like I was working for the CIA. It was nuts.
You didn't want those stormtroopers visiting your house to arrest you.
No. Well, actually, when I was sitting at my desk, I noticed these little red dots that would appear on my shirt periodically throughout the day. I don't know what those were, but I just paying attention.
Well, here's the question. Here's the question, though. Did they move?
They did, actually. So they would move, they would disappear. Sometimes they would be on my forehead,
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your computer and other media forms of entertainment, relocate them to your bathroom, hoping and assuming that your bathroom has no windows. Guarantee you that problem goes away really quick.
I don't know. These are some incredibly resourceful people.
Hey, wait a second. Time out. I got to make this because, like we've always said, we're not exactly journalists. We're podcast hosts. But I got to say, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You are the head writer of Tor. And where does a man do his best thinking? It makes sense. It's so many ways.
I will confess, I've solved more than one story problem taking a shower in the morning before I was going to work. So
see, there you go, man. Whether it's on the throne, in the shower, the point in the bathroom is conducive to thinking.
It is. So also in the car, although my commute is very short to the office. I live very close to the office, so it's not a long commute. I'm not going to solve a lot of problems on that. So.
Yeah, that's like. Wonder what I should do. Oh, I'm here.
Right, exactly. Well, I guess I'll just go into the office.
So as the main writer now, and as one of the writers before, what are your brainstorming meetings? I know you guys have those brainstorming meetings. We all get together and start talking about throwing ideas at each other. How do those work? And what's the process of going to some of those meetings? Because we've heard about them before.
Well, usually we just have, we have a general idea of the story that we need to tell, of what characters will be involved. Sometimes we don't necessarily have a lot of ideas for a plot. What we'll have is we're going to this planet. Let's come up with a great story for this planet. But we always have at least something to work from. And then we just get together and we start kicking ideas around. We've got the big whiteboard that we write our ideas down on, and it's very loose and informal and fun. And the deal is never to shoot an idea down. To always, it's a very collaborative and improvisational atmosphere. It's always, the improv credo, which is yes and, yes, let's do that idea. And what if we put this on it? That's a lot of the fun of it. It's actually one of the most fun things we get to do, is just sit around and just kick around ideas for 30 minutes or an hour or however long it takes to come up with something that we're really happy with and excited by.
So have you ever gotten an idea that was just like so out there, makes your eyes widen and you go, maybe, no?
Well, I am actually a little bit notorious for prefacing some of my idea pitches with, all right, this is crazy, but...
What are some examples of these crazy ideas, if any, that you can share?
Nothing I can share at the moment. I'm trying to think of things in the past that got into the game.
Or maybe that didn't get into the game, that they just said, no. We can't give the Jedi 6 arms. He's human.
Right.
No, dude, what is this? What is he, Goro from Mortal Kombat? What the hell? What are we, Midway?
Oh, actually, I can tell you one example where I got too crazy and they reined me in was when I suggested doing some sort of time travel story, and I was
no.
Exactly, I was very. Well, sometimes you just get desperate. So it's like,
hey, no, nothing wrong with that, but it's like,
yeah. But
I've heard.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I've heard a lot of people say, at least people I know, Time travel works on Star Trek, not Star Wars.
And that's exactly right, and that's why we didn't do it. It was like, it's one of those ideas you put out there, and then the room immediately just kind of goes quiet. It's like, I'll just retract that statement right now.
You're like, I said, what about that crime that we unraveled? Yeah, that's it.
And that's when Casey Hudson's walking by and he goes, "I'm sorry, but the TARDIS cannot be in Tor. It does not fit."
I don't know that Casey ever visited our offices, but yes, I would imagine he would say something like that. Yeah. So...
Oh, dear God, that's news, folks.
I think he's in the other offices.
Whoopsie.
Okay. So, James, do you have any final questions for him before we let him get back to work?
All right. Here's one, completely informal, kind of off the top of my head. I'm just curious. I wonder, have you had any sort of internal conversation between your brain as it is now and your inner child about the fact that you are, in fact, the head writer of frickin' the Old Republic?
Yes, I have. So it's pretty.
So you've had that.
Yeah, it's like oh, by the way, it all works out. So
it's almost like you wish you could go back in time at that point.
Right. It's like, don't worry, it's okay to be this dork. It's okay to collect every Star Wars toy that gets put out. It's okay to be a member of the Star Wars fan club. It's all toward a greater purpose. So yes, and those are words that I think I would share with anybody who's a big Star Wars fan, because you never know where your passions are going to lead you.
Okay, and then my final question is going to be, do you have anything you want to say to past, current, and future players of Tor?
I think that the best is yet to come. I think we have a lot of great ideas for the future of the game, and we've learned a lot over the years in terms of what content works and what doesn't, and what players want and what they want to see more of, and that's what we're working on. We're constantly evolving and getting better at what we do, and I'm very excited to be leading the writers into the future armed with this knowledge and with the passion of the fans. Like I love our fans, and I think they're great, and I love hearing what they have to say, and I love hearing their likes and dislikes, and it's all very important to me. And I think that the future's looking very exciting.
Noise the hell out of you. Just listen to that statement, and you'll understand that they care.
We do care very much.
No, because honestly, I've played a fair few MMOs in my day, and I'll tell you right now, not everybody's not gonna love the game the same way. Everybody's got something they might not like, but it's always nice to hear words like that from the people that create that content, letting you know, okay, we know you don't like this, but hey, check this out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's nice to have that reassurance, I think, as a fan.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I mean, we're all fans ultimately. I mean, the people making the game are fans, and we're making it for the fans, and I think that's the best possible situation to be in.
Yeah, man.
And from our set of fans to your set of fans, we'd like to thank you for being on Bombad Radio.
It was my pleasure.
And, it's a pleasure to have you on. You're a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
Anytime you want to come back on, hang out, shoot the shit, pardon my French, talk game, talk shop, you come find us, you come hang out, you're always welcome back.
That sounds great, guys. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and now you can get back to writing in a galaxy far, far away.
All
yes, right. Because, damn it, we want the content.
We're working on it.
Thank you, sir, and have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
May the force be with you.